Throughout time, people across the world told each other tales of how they came to be, of heroes and monsters, romance and tragedy, death and rebirth. Mythology helped shape the ancient world, explaining the unexplainable. This is Mythology Unleashed. Long ago, before even the days of Hercules, there lived a youth named Bellerophon, son of Glaucus, the king of Corinth. As per the course of the tales of many Greek heroes, tragedy was never far away. As it would happen, Bellerophon had killed a kinsman by accident, perhaps in the battle drills that young men practiced at the time. But accident or no, Bellerophon had blood guilt on his head, and a time of wandering began for him as he sought to cleanse himself of the stain through exile. He left his home and traveled alone, down the Peloponnesus, to Tiryns, where he became suppliant to Proteus, the king of Tiryns. Because of Bellerophon's royal heritage, his grace and bravery, and because it was the custom, King Proteus welcomed him, absolved him of his crimes, and gave him the freedom of his court. But the king's wife, Antea, also took notice of Bellerophon's grace and his handsome features. She began to watch him from afar as he paced the courtyards and trained as a warrior. One evening, she cornered him alone and attempted to seduce him. But Bellerophon could not bring himself to betray those who had welcomed him into their house, and he spurned her advances. Scorned and embittered, she went to her husband, tears flowing from her eyes and her body trembling, and she told him of how Bellerophon had tried to force himself upon her. Believing his wife's words to be true, Proteus was enraged, but the law of Xenia prevented him from harming a royal hearth guest. To break that law would be as great a dishonor as the one allegedly done to his wife. It would taint the house of Proteus. Sometime later, Proteus sent Bellerophon to deliver a message to his father-in-law, Antea's father, King Iobates of Lycia. The message was sealed, and only to be handed directly to Iobates himself. Bellerophon made his way to the distant kingdom of Lycia, where Iobates welcomed him warmly. After some time, and having grown fond of Bellerophon, Iobates at last opened the sealed message from his son-in-law. The blood drained from Iobates' face, for the message ordered him to kill the one who delivered the message. Iobates was seething in his fury at the revelation of what Bellerophon was accused of, and at Proteus for shifting the responsibility of punishing Bellerophon upon himself. To kill a guest of royal blood who doubled as a messenger would bring great dishonor to his own house, regardless of the crime Bellerophon was accused of. Iobates would not sully his own honor, but nor would he defy Proteus or let Bellerophon go free. He decided to send Bellerophon on a dangerous mission, on which he would certainly perish. To the east of where they stood, in the distant countryside of Lycia, lived a fire-breathing monster of great size, sharp teeth and claws that ravaged the countryside. The Chimera, it was called. A child of Typhon and Echidna, the Chimera was said to be an ungodly combination of lion, goat, and serpent. Its appearance was enough to rattle the nerves of even the bravest of warriors, but it had additional powers to make it truly untouchable. Its lion parts gave it great strength and predatory instinct. Its goat features gave it uncanny agility and a fathomless appetite. And its serpent tail was gifted with potent venom. The Chimera was so powerful that it could not be subdued with brute force, it could not be surprised or set upon, and it devastated all within its path, devouring man and beast alike, and burning settlements down to the foundations. And King Iobates set Bellerophon the task of slaying the Chimera. After accepting this foolhardy mission, Bellerophon returned to Corinth and sought the counsel of the soothsayer Pegasus, who told the brash young man that he stood no chance against the Chimera, on foot or on horseback. Such was the power of the monster. The only way that he could survive against the Chimera's wrath was with the aid of the winged horse Pegasus. Bellerophon knew well of Pegasus, for many times the people of Greece would catch glimpses of a large, beautiful white stallion soaring through the skies above upon massive feathered wings. But Pegasus, being a stallion of the gods, had never been tamed by a man. He would need the assistance of the gods, were Bellerophon to bridle the winged horse. That night, Bellerophon slept in the temple of Athena, the patron goddess of heroes and wisdom, and she came to him in his dreams. Athena gave to him a golden bridle that would allow him to approach, tame, and ride Pegasus. And upon awakening, Bellerophon found the bridle in his grasp, and the winged horse drinking from a spring just outside. After hesitation and uncertainty from both parties, Bellerophon at last succeeded in bridling Pegasus, and he mounted the beautiful stallion. With an urge forward, as if the horse could read the rider's thoughts, Pegasus accelerated into a gallop, unfurled his wings, and took flight. Bellerophon had been accustomed to riding horses all his life, but nothing could compare to this. High in the air, the pair flew over fields and villages and mountains, at speeds greater than any horse, yet with more grace than any bird. Pegasus flew them over the glittering waters of the Aegean Sea, and in what seemed like a heartbeat, the pair were within sight of the mountains east of Lycia, where the Chimera caught their scent. The hunting grounds of the Chimera were easy to decipher. It was a wasteland, reeking of smoke and rotting flesh. Vultures, fat with endless meals, flew high in the air, and scavenging flies endlessly buzzed about. Bellerophon and Pegasus tracked the Chimera into the crags, where it padded out to face them in combat. The monster roared and cried from all of its heads, and blew fire towards the hero and his steed, attempting to scorch these trespassers who dared to enter its lair. But Pegasus was a master of the air, and easily dodged the Chimera's assault. Bellerophon began to shoot arrows down upon the wretched creature, but the Chimera's preternatural agility and fire breath made it nigh impossible for the arrows to find their mark. The battle was truly an intense one. The Chimera's agility, ferocity, and fire breath matched Pegasus' flying abilities near perfectly. Bellerophon knew he had to outwit his ferocious opponent, and he came up with a plan. Bellerophon secured a chunk of lead to the end of a spear, and thrust with all his might into the Chimera's mouth. The flames that belched forth from the Chimera's body, its prized weapon that had razed the country to ash and bone, had melted the lead, and it trickled down the beast's throat, blocking its windpipe, suffocating it. And within a matter of minutes, the Chimera, the wretched spawn of Typhon and Echidna, lay dead. Some say that Bellerophon brought back the head or heads of the Chimera to Iobates, while others say that he brought back the pelt. But no matter the proof that he had, Iobates was astounded Bellerophon had survived what not even the greatest of warriors or hunters could defeat. Iobates then issued Bellerophon new challenges, having him face off against the Lyomi and later the Amazons, and he even set an ambush for him utilizing the greatest soldiers of Lycia. But with his cunning, and no shortage of help from Pegasus, Bellerophon succeeded in all of his trials. At last, Iobates believed that this young man was innocent of the accusation held against him, for Bellerophon was a darling of the gods. He offered the young man Philonoe, his youngest daughter's hand in marriage, and she gave Bellerophon 2 sons and a daughter. In time, even Antea would pay for her crime of falsely accusing Bellerophon of assaulting her. As the fame and fortune of Bellerophon grew, so too did the hero's arrogance and sense of self-importance. He had accomplished many great deeds in his life with the aid of the winged steed. It was clear to him that he was beyond mortal men. So why should he linger on in the world of mankind? So Bellerophon mounted Pegasus, gave him a kick, and urged him upward towards Olympus, where he would live out his days among the gods and the goddesses. Zeus looked down from Olympus and saw this brash, arrogant mortal flying upon the back of Pegasus as an aberrant insult. Who was he to think he deserved a place among the Olympians? So the king of the gods sent down a gadfly that bit and irritated Pegasus. The winged horse began to buck and jolt about wildly. Bellerophon found it harder and harder to hold on, and then all at once, Bellerophon slipped off Pegasus's back and plummeted back down to earth. Pegasus went on to fly higher and higher into the skies, where he can be seen today as a constellation in the night sky.